Hey everybody, I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Elysabeth Alfano. It's another episode of Awesome Vegans. I have Damien Mander, Aussie, former sniper, in the house. How are you?
G'day mate, how you doing?
Soft-spoken today, our Damien. Oh my word.
Just warming up.
Okay, that's right. Still kind of early here.
Yeah.
And of course I have Vimbai Kumire. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
I'm very happy to have you in my home and on Awesome Vegans. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Awesome, thanks very much for having us. Yeah.
Yes, so I am a fan, and we have a lot to talk to you about. But for those of you who may not know, which should kind of be hard because Damien's pretty awesome, please tell us how you started the International Anti-Poaching Foundation, what it does, and how you got from your sniper life to here.
Okay, so post-Iraq, did 3 years in Iraq, 2005, 6 and 7, then just, went off the rails, travelling through South America, trying to figure out what next. Ended up with a one-way ticket to Africa and just travelling around, seeing what was going on. Saw the work that rangers were doing, people like Vimbai, and then saw what was going on with animals. And, I grew up not caring about animals or caring about the environment, but I was at a stage in my life where I was ready for the next thing, ready to open up to something different, something that was greater than oneself. And it just so happened that nature and the environment became that thing. Liquidated a property portfolio in 2009 and set up the International Anti-Poaching Foundation.
Oh my gosh.
10 years later, we have supported rangers that help protect over 5 million acres of wilderness across southern and East Africa. Got the likes of Dr. Jane Goodall as the head of our advisory board and our patron, and scaling innovative programs throughout southern and East Africa. We started off going out as a blunt instrument, dealing with this thing head on. We got armed, militarised units crossing international borders to kill animals like elephant and rhinoceros. So we went out and we hit that with force with force, fire with fire. And now we've evolved into this organisation that focuses on land and leadership, so preserving large ecosystems and also training the leaders of the industry for tomorrow.
So let me backstep a bit for those of you who might not know what's going on in Africa or the things that you take on, as you say, like a blunt instrument head on. So what are the most challenging things that you face? I wonder if it's government or actually, of course, the poachers themselves.
Look, we're dealing in some very difficult places to operate in, be it economically, politically, geographically. I'm struggling with English today, which I'm Australian, so I get a few credits on that one.
We're going to cut you some slack.
Yeah. I'm still. People ask me what other languages I speak, and I say I'm Aussie. I'm still trying to get English right. Yeah, look, there's many challenges. Logistics are a huge thing. Poachers, we're dealing with people that are working as part of organised crime gangs, people that are involved with drugs, guns and human trafficking. Wildlife products like ivory and rhino horn is just another currency for them. People in our job get killed. That's there's no beating around the bush there. We're out there being the last line of defence for nature, and in doing so we stand in some pretty powerful people's way.
So I think for most of us, we think drug trafficking. Maybe you hear a lot about that on the news. More and more we've been hearing about human trafficking. But I recently learned that animal trafficking, and that might be live or dead, I think, is actually one of the largest crime rings. Explain to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, 4th largest criminal network in the world behind guns, drugs and human trafficking.
Wow.
So, it really is just another currency. And when you're looking at organised crime circles or even terrorism networks, there's evidence of illegal wildlife trade being used to fund terrorism networks. So it really is just another currency. So where we see a sentient being and something that we want to have compassion for, a big majestic animal, right. Even the small ones, a forest of trees. Some people see dollar signs and want to exploit that. Yes. And the number one thing I want in life is to be able to work. So guys like me with the skills I have are no longer needed to protect the natural world, but this is the world we've created for ourselves to manage. So for now, we do have to rely on these holistic strategies to go out and work with local communities, work with rangers from the local communities to protect these areas from poachers.
And so how has the community reacted? Because I was under the impression that sometimes communities feel that they compete with these large animals because they have crops and the crops maybe get damaged. So how has the community embraced you or not? And how has the government embraced you or not?
So to tell that, I've got to jump around a little bit to sort of put things in perspective. So when I first came, we were doing the same things we're doing in Iraq. And this is how a lot of conservation functions. Okay, we get teams of men from around the country. We bring them in and we form a unit to protect a national park or a wildlife preserve from the local community, because we assume this is where people have to come through to get into the park, or they come from. And the reason we recruit from around the country is we don't want the rangers that we employ to be corrupted by the people they grew up with. Okay, Zimbabwe sits 165 out of 180 countries on the Global Corruption Index.
Wow.
If you can remove corruption from any equation, you're already halfway home. Okay, now, but in doing that, we do the same thing that we did in Iraq. When I was the head of the Iraq Special Police Training Academy in northern Baghdad, we trained battalion-sized groups and we sent them out, mixture of Sunni and Shiite, to different places around the country, and it caused conflict wherever they went. One thing that started to work in the end was we stopped doing that, and we went into the local neighbourhoods, we trained the locals, and we gave them a salary of a soldier or a police officer and said, look after your own backyard, and that started to work. But we couldn't do that over in Africa because we're still worried about corruption, people paying money to find out where the rangers are going to be or where the elephants or the rhinos are. Fast forward maybe 7 or 8 years, and I'm reading an overwhelming body of evidence that's telling us empowering women is the single greatest force for positive change in the world today. Now, I come from special operations, ultimate boys club. We never worked with women. We didn't want to work with women. I built a career across 3 continents by bringing fairly hardened men to the point of breaking and then rebuilding them into what we need on the front lines, and women not once featured in that equation. Okay, but then I read an article in the New York Times about the US Army Rangers putting women through their selection and training. Now, we got saved. Our convoy got blown up in northern Baghdad in 2007. We got saved by US Army Rangers. So I'm thinking, if the team that saved us in Iraq was good enough to be putting women through their ranks and onto the front lines, then maybe they're good enough to be wildlife rangers in Africa. And we started employing women 100% from the local community. Because one thing we haven't seen after 20 months of doing this now is zero corruption. Okay, so it means we can employ 100% from the local community, and it completely de-escalated all the tension. I mean, women naturally de-escalate tension. They want to have a conversation. They want to know what's going on. But the fact that the rangers are now from the local community, and all the money that we're paying in terms of salaries, they're not being dispersed around the country. It's all going back into the community, and it's going in at a household level where women do like crazy shit, like send kids to school and buy uniforms and good food and healthcare and all that, instead of beer and stuff that maybe I would have done when I was a young sailor. So, yeah, in that respect, women have become the bridge that conservation had to build into communities. And this, what excites me with this is we went into a small country in southern Africa where there's been historical resentment between conservation and communities, on a continent that's had a 700% increase in armed conflict in the last 10 years. God. Okay, and all we did was swap men for women, and we completely de-escalated the situation and found a more effective and more efficient way to go about our business.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that you had swapped men for women. I did know that. But I didn't know that that was the only thing that really changed it around. I thought you had built relationships with government and that people were starting to take this seriously and people had realized the connection between drugs and crime in their communities with animal trafficking. But it's really...
Vimbai's stopped drugs now. She's not doing any more drugs.
And we're going to talk to Vimbai because I do want to know what it's like to be boots on the ground there. But I'm still just trying to get the overall picture of what you're saying. So... really, exchanging women for men has been the sole thing that's really put you into a different category.
We shifted the way that we looked at conservation. Okay, now I'm, always looking for a different way to do things in an industry that's spent tens of billions of dollars over previous decades, and we're still talking about animals and species going extinct. Okay, now. We wanted to try something different. Okay, so what we did is we put female empowerment at the centre of our strategy. That gave us the greatest traction in community development, and conservation became the byproduct, became automatic. okay? Because the single most effective dollar that you can spend in community development in Africa is women's empowerment, okay? So what we've done is we've essentially taken conservation funding and turned that into the most effective form of community development funding without them running in parallel or against each other. They're now running as one.
So this reminds me of what Jane Goodall talks about a lot, in that you can't expect people to care for animals when they're having trouble caring for their own children, their own communities. So I think that's, and I'm going to forget his name, but I believe he won the Nobel Prize in Economics.
I failed maths at school, so.
Okay. Well, this isn't, in a way, this is a wildly new concept for Army, but in terms of microloans, someone came up with the idea, I'm so sorry that I don't have his name at the top of my fingers here, to give these microloans to women because they will reinvest them in the home, in the home businesses, home economics, and not waste them on gambling and money and beer, and men will kind of waste that money.
Is that a waste, is it?
Yes. Depends on the day, Damien. It depends on the day.
Okay.
So, so women have really, and I didn't realize that switch to women was only 20 months old.
Yeah, it was. It's a program called Akashinga, which translates in local Shona dialect into the brave ones. And at the moment, the initial pilot area is the only nature preserve in the world that's completely managed and protected by women.
And that's in Zimbabwe?
It's in Zimbabwe, yeah. And we've currently got 4 more that we're in the process of moving into. One of them is a huge area, 750,000 acres. So, we're rolling out a plan now. We by 2025, we want to have 1,000 women protecting 20 nature preserves that were previously used for trophy hunting. We have reclaimed them from trophy hunting and now repurposing them.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you're up against. It's trophy hunting. It's also medicine, I'm guessing. What is driving this trafficking, and what are your biggest challenges? And then I want to talk to Vimbai.
So you've got ivory from elephants.
Still?
Yeah, it's massive. It's huge. I was just in Hong Kong a few weeks ago. You still see it in all the shops there. United States, one of the largest consumers of ivory products in the world as well. And a lot of the hunters. So you've got poaching, you've got hunting. Poaching is when they come in and they kill an animal to take the products, and they feed it into these illegal crime networks in Asia where it's desired. So you've got something that weighs as much as a truck, killed for something you can hold in one hand, an elephant. Right. Okay, so someone can sit this tusk on their desk in Asia, and then you got a rhino horn used, historically for traditional medicine, but it's now being used more as a status-related good. $35,000 a pound the stuff's going for, and a rhino can have 20 or 30 pounds on it. So,
oh my God.
These animals, which represent so much in Africa, and not just in Africa, but us as a generation, a civilization. If we can't collectively come up with the resources needed to save 2 of the most iconic species that we all love. I don't think you're going to meet anyone and say, yeah, you know what, I hate it. I don't
hate
like
an elephant.
I don't like elephants, or, there's rhinos. If anyone, it should be me. I've had all my pot plants and herb garden got eaten by bloody rhinos. So, or they sit on them in the middle of the road when I'm trying to take my kid to school. It should be me that hates rhinos, but I love them. We've got these animals which are under serious threat, and they are such a symbol for where I think we're going as a species. The good thing about humans is that when we push far enough into a corner, we're very capable of reacting, and I think we're getting close. Yeah, we're getting close to that corner.
You do? You think we're going to change?
I don't think we're going to be left with a choice. If we really are serious about wanting to stay here on this rock spinning in space. The rock's been spinning for 5.3 billion years. It's survived a lot worse than us. It's not the rhino and the elephant that's endangered, it's us.
I do agree. It's the rhino and elephant that are in danger, in addition to us. But the difference is that we're doing this to ourselves. So we're sort of to blame if we go away. The rhino and elephant, they're innocent in all of this.
That's true.
And the fact that I always think for people who have children, do you want your kids to grow up in a world that have no elephants and no rhino? It's we lost the white rhino. Is that not right?
Northern white rhino, I think there's a couple left or something. Yeah, they're trying to repopulate from
only
from
females, I believe, right? So I did a little bit of work in Africa, in Kenya, with Earthwatch and black rhinos, and it was wonderful to live in the bush for a couple weeks, and we would follow where the rhino were eating. And so we'd measure how much they'd taken from the trees and how they follow each other. So the rhino followed the zebra. So we would follow their track patterns. And I did get so lucky to come across a rhino and a baby.
Yeah,
and the wind was blowing from the rhino to us, so she couldn't smell us. And of course, we were just there taking pictures. But she didn't know we were there. We were so close.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I would do it again.
Yeah.
So whenever you have a volunteer program, let me know. I would go to Zimbabwe, and I would love to volunteer. So, but let's find out what volunteering, or actually being on the ground, boots on the ground, as we say, from Vimbai. So tell me about your daily routine. What is a day like for you? Are you from Zimbabwe?
Yes, I'm from Zimbabwe.
Okay, so tell me about what a day might be like in your life.
Yeah, in my life, a day might be like something so special and something so sounds good in my life. Because as you can see now, by joining this program of Akashinga, I'm now a changeable person than I was before. So my day routine is quite good.
So you feel that you personally have a much better life than before?
Quite exactly. I have a much better life than I was having before.
Is it hard? Is it a challenging, physically demanding, or mentally strenuous job?
I can say that it's not a challenging or strained job because it's a stress-free job.
Really?
Yes.
You're not afraid of being in contact with poachers or people with guns? I mean, I'm guessing you also have a gun?
Yes, we have a gun. But I can say that before I joined this program, I was afraid of holding a gun or to see someone with a gun. But after joining this program, I'm now a changeable person. I believe in myself and I'm proud to be in this type of a job. I can hold a gun. Even when I'm in the bush, I'm not afraid of anything.
Wow. Well, thank you, Damien, and thank you, Vimbai, for that.
You're welcome.
And do you train other people?
So far, I didn't train other people. I only received training because we are the first team to be trained.
You're the first team. Wow. So we are talking to the first team in Zimbabwe to be trained under the International Anti-Poaching Foundation. Let me ask you, just this morning you said that there was a capture. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, last night, the team, so a lot of what we do is based on intelligence-driven operations. Okay, so about 3% of crimes that are solved around the world in law enforcement are solved by catching someone in the act. The other 97% are solved through intelligence-led operations, and that requires information. People like Vimbai are fantastic at collecting information in the local communities. These women come from the communities. They're plugged into things from a family and a household level. So we're getting all this information in. So we got information that told us that there was a team of poachers, 3 poachers, that were on their way into Mana Pools National Park. Okay, so this is a World Heritage listed site in Zimbabwe, on the edge of the Zambezi River. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Some huge, big tusker elephants in there, which would, in the eyes of some, look great sitting on their desk.
Oh my God!
So one tactic that poachers use is they'll get oranges and pumpkins, and they fill it full of cyanide, deadly poison that will kill you in a few seconds. They fill it full of cyanide. They put these out. Putting an orange in front of an elephant is like putting a bag of sweets in front of my 6-year-old son Leo. He's going to dive straight into it, but. What happens with the elephants is they will die, but then the lions, the hyenas, all the other predators, the vultures come in, and then you just have this cascading death all around.
Oh,
and
right.
So our rangers got this information, intercepted, did a raid late last night Zimbabwe time, and were able to make an arrest, seize the cyanide, and actually get these poachers before they killed an animal.
So what happens to the poachers? I hate to sound vengeful, but I do get very angry because I feel like, how dare you take our natural resources? This is something that they're stealing from all of us. It's like taking our air, taking our trees, taking our treasures that are the animals. So this makes me very mad. What will happen to these people? Please don't tell me that they'll be out in like 6 months.
No, well, okay. So to wind it back a week, there was an arrest last week with a poacher that was arrested. He actually had killed an elephant. Okay, so on Monday this week, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison.
Oh.
So Zimbabwe is very strict in that respect. We've had it as quick as arrest on the Monday, sentenced on the Wednesday.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
I like how you roll, Zimbabwe.
If it's pangolin, if it's ivory, or if it's rhino horn, it's automatic 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So the government is supportive. I wasn't sure because that can be a source of corruption. I wasn't sure where they were in supporting you.
Yeah, look, our relationships are direct with the local community. So we form long-term partnerships with the local community, 25 to 50-year contracts with them to help manage these areas and work with the local population. However, political will and buy-in is very important. The president of Zimbabwe's daughter is a volunteer ranger with us, and she comes out on patrol. She spends time with the rangers, and is a great local ambassador.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that. And of course, this makes so much sense because if you build the foundation in the community, then the community wants what you want because they're getting jobs with you. And so they want what you want.
Yeah.
And that just builds more and more protection and less competition in terms of people going after the animals. They'd rather have the jobs and the security.
And look, we can't put money into every single house in this community. But goodwill is a currency, and when the community sees that we're not there having a war, we're there having a conversation, we're there having a relationship, a long-term relationship where we both want to be the beneficiaries, we both want to see the animals untouched, we both want to see this wilderness area maintained. When we have that joint relationship going forward, things work much better. One day it would be great to be able to put money in every single household for now, but at the moment, we can benefit some households and some people, not everyone. But that goodwill, if someone is coming through this community is trying to take what they're protecting, we hear about it. And it's much easier to get a phone call from a concerned person in a local community telling you exactly where a problem is than it is to walk around a million acres looking for one.
Right. So smart. Absolutely. I see this. So we've been talking a lot about Zimbabwe, but you have grown operations to South Africa and Mozambique and Kenya. Tell me about what's going on in these locations.
So South Africa and Mozambique, Mozambique we operated for a number of years on the eastern side of Kruger National Park's border, protecting their intensive protection zone. So a third of the world's rhino in this one concentrated area.
Oh my God.
We built a large, robust program on the eastern side of the border there. We've done a lot of special investigations work throughout Mozambique and South Africa, focusing on rhino horn trade. The leadership component of what we're doing as an organisation, land and leadership, the leadership component is up in Tsavo National Park in Kenya, and that's where we have a program called Lead Ranger. We identify leaders from existing conservation networks, whether it be not-for-profit, whether they be the private sector or government. We bring them in and we train them to be instructors. We train them to be teachers. Now, if you're going to try and train a nation or train an industry, you can either do it by bringing in a few people at a time, or you can train teachers. You can train instructors and send them back out.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing. We read a report a few years ago said 1% of leadership of philanthropic funding in Africa is spent on leadership development.
Oh my God.
So that means 1% is determining how effective the other 99% is being used.
Yeah.
So that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
If we were doing it right, the situation would be much better on the ground. So we thought, let's train the leaders. And very often the difference between a failed program and a successful program is often one good local leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is fascinating to me because, of course, I can see where all of your training from Iraq comes in. You're used to not only training people, but you're used to the hierarchy and the levels and the dissemination of information. And that makes a lot of sense. Have you ever worked with leading business schools in the U.S.? Because a lot of this is management and strategy, not 101. I don't want to make it sound belittle it in any way, but I could see where prime strategists could help you.
Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't actually. I've lectured at a bunch of universities around the country, but
it's an interesting thing.
It is,
I'll have to hit up my friends at Kellogg Business School. I'm coming for you. So, great. Okay. Well, and I am waiting for the opportunity to volunteer with you. So you'll have to keep me posted on that. So here we are. A lot of you will watch me in Chicago. I love you, Chicago, of course, LA, and across the United States and across the world. People watch Jane Unchained, so thank you for that. So if we don't live in Africa, what can we do to help you? How can we get behind? I know right now you're on a U.S. tour talking all over the United States. What can we do best to help you?
So we're a not-for-profit organisation, 501c3 registered here in America. We have unlimited land to move into across the continent, wilderness areas that need to be protected, and we have lots of women like Vimbai that are warriors, are ready to be deployed. So it just comes down to funding, really. The more funds we can raise, the more land we can protect, and the more rangers we can train to do that. And my specialty is counterinsurgency warfare, not fundraising. But here I am doing a circuit around America, which is great. I mean, America's our biggest supporters here.
Good.
We've got an event coming up in Chicago, actually, for anyone out there in Chicago watching. Where's the Botanical Gardens?
Yeah, Chicago Botanical Gardens. I believe that's sort of by Skokie, the large botanical gardens, not the one in Lincoln Park. You're going to be there April 30th, and it's a cocktail meet and greet. You're going to be talking.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive ticket price. I want to say $40 if I'm not wrong. So very approachable ticket price. So that's April 30th. I highly recommend. Very captivating Damien Mander. And Vimbai, you're going to be there as well, I think, on April 30th in Chicago.
Yes.
Vimbai's doing the U.S. tour with Damien.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend April 30th. I'll be pushing this around on social media between now and then. But you're also speaking in other cities.
Yeah, LA, San Francisco, New York, DC, St. Louis.
Florida,
Palm Beach down in Florida, and Chicago. Do you know I was in Chicago when the Cubs were playing in game 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, so fun.
I was like,
yeah.
So I'm a Cubs supporter now. So I was just there. I had to go there for a meeting, and I ended up staying. There was a backpackers hostel 100 yards from Wrigley Field. So I'm like, what's all the commotion here? All of a sudden, I'm a Cubs supporter. So that was awesome. And then I was actually in DC to watch the 7th game, but it was very cool.
Okay, so now all the Chicago people have to donate to IAA.
Well, half of Chicago, from what I understand.
It's true. We're a little divided, but everybody comes together when we can win a World Series. So if you're a Cubs fan, then you want to get involved with the International Anti-Poaching Foundation, because you can see they're one and the same almost. Okay, so how would people donate if they wanted to? Let's say they can't get to you on April 30th. How would they donate?
Yeah, just jump online, www.iapf.org, International Anti-Poaching Foundation. Or if you just Google anti-poaching, we sort of float up there around the top somewhere.
Okay. Okay, so then you'll find Damien. Okay, so I have a short list of questions that I always ask on this show, and I'm going to hit you up for those in just about a minute. But I just want to ask on a personal note. You came from a very rough situation in Iraq. You were done with that on a personal level. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm not saying that you were soul searching, but something made you want to shift and use your skill set for something other than war. Although in a way you're still in a war, but maybe on the protective side. What have you learned personally from all this about human nature, about how the world works, about yourself? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, I didn't go to the military to serve my country. I did it for adventure, and Iraq was about making money. I went there as a private contractor, made a lot of money and invested it in real estate. And Africa was the same. It was meant to be a short-term, like adventure, run around the bush and do some cool stuff, and then, where next? But I don't know, it was about half a dozen times in my life I've been able to reflect on who I am as a person and what I'm doing in the morning, and by the evening have made a significant change in who I am as a person and changed the course of my life forever. And seeing what was happening with the rangers that were trying to protect animals, that was one of them. I made a phone call to Australia and liquidated a property portfolio and set up the organisation. So I suppose it's just, nature's had billions of years to evolve, and we as humans, we got one lifetime. So I suppose for me, it's just about continuously trying to cut away the bits that don't work and keep the bits that do, and try to do things for others. Look, for all the selfish years that I had in my life, the thing that actually makes, in a selfish way, the things that makes me feel best is trying to do stuff for others, and particularly those that don't have a voice, animals.
And animals don't have a voice, so thank you for lending your voice to animals. I appreciate that. Okay, here we go. Top 8. Are you ready? These are meant to be sort of off the cuff, really easy.
I feel like I'm cheating by looking at the questions. Yeah.
Stop looking at my cheat sheet.
Yes, miss. Yeah.
And Vimbai as well, if you feel like it, you can join in on this. Okay, what are we always going to find in your fridge?
I would have said beer, but I'm actually taking a year off beer at the moment. So,
a year?
Yeah.
Ooh, disciplined.
I'm turning 40 in December, and I'm building it up. It's gonna be
Okay.
like a volcano of beer everywhere.
So I got to know where your 40th birthday party is. I'll be going to that.
Yeah, can you invite me? I haven't figured out where it's going to be yet, so if you know where it's going to be before me, let me know.
What month are we?
December. It's going to be in December 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it should be in Africa then, shouldn't it?
Yeah, well,
December's great in Africa.
Yeah, I mean every day, every
It's
week,
great,
every
yeah.
month is great in Africa.
Okay, noted. We're all going to his birthday party, 40th in December.
All right. I'll post Mum's address onto this site for all nearly million subscribers to this channel. There you go.
Yay, go Gene
Free
Unchained.
booze too, everybody. Free booze.
Okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
we'll be there then. That was
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so if it's not beer, what's in your fridge?
So there's always fresh fruit and veggies. I mean, in Zimbabwe, there's amazing, like, awesome fresh fruit and veggies. And we don't
Yes,
have...
yeah.
Like, I mean, when I come over here, so my dirty little secret is lots of processed cheeses and vegan cheeses and vegan meats, which we don't get all that stuff in Zimbabwe. So when I come over here, I maybe don't eat as healthy as I should. But when I'm home, everything is like whole foods, plant-based diet where... we don't have all this processed stuff to look at to choose from, so it all comes from fresh, raw ingredients.
Yeah, so that, of course, is the best. I think, in a way, we all wish we could eat that way. So before I get to the rest of this quiz, I just want to go back for a second. Of course, you're vegan. We didn't talk about that because it's kind of like a natural, but when did you decide to go vegan and why?
I decided to go vegan 4 years after I started the organisation. So I've been walking around in the bush protecting one group of animals for 4 years, coming home eating another group. What I was saying and what I was believing were heading off in different tangents, and that was another time where deep internal reflection. I wasn't happy with who I was as a person. I was full of shit. Actually, I was as a hypocrite. Here I was involved with an industry that's responsible for protecting both the environment and animals, and. Yeah, I mean, even if there was 1,000 hours in the day, if I spent those 1,000 hours patrolling in the bush protecting animals, then coming home and eating them, didn't matter. I was not only cancelling out what I was doing, but I was taking even further steps backwards. So, and look, the hard part about change is not the actual change itself; it's the process leading up to it. And I had like this internal violent opposition, come out with all the most bullshit excuses you can think of, like cows aren't going extinct and, they're there for us to eat and, we evolved eating these things. At the end of the day, it boiled down to this. I didn't want to exploit something that couldn't look after, that couldn't defend itself. And I didn't fucking want to pay someone else to do it for me. And that was it. That was, when you look at it like that, I mean, who wants to go and hurt something? Like, if there's a little kitten or a little puppy or something here, who wants to go and grab that and rip its head off and, start eating it? Nobody. So, it's just, I mean, we're supposed to be, I come from, my background in the military. We were deployed to try and protect and save and rescue. And here I was doing everything but that. To not even someone that can fight back, to someone that can't even defend themselves. Animals are the most vulnerable in society. They're trusting. They're often unprotected. And, they don't have a voice to fight back. And, we exploit them. And I don't want to be a part of that.
And what could be more cowardly than taking something that can't defend itself, pushing it into a corner, locking it in a cage, and then ending its life? What could be more cowardly?
Knowing the truth and still doing nothing about it.
Say that again.
Knowing the truth and still doing nothing about it. And, we've got so many... What really frustrates me, I can understand people in certain sectors of the community, that certain demographics, they're worried about where the next meal is coming from. But when you see educated leaders in business, people that, particularly in celebrities as well, that have a voice, and they still, it's not the animals that are on their plates, the individuals that die. It's the example they're not setting.
Mm-hmm. When they have all the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think back to your point about it's for anything to make change possible. It isn't the actual change. It boils down to making a decision. And once you decide, it's easy from then on. You just have to make a decision. And we tend to, I speak for myself as well, skirt around the issue, make excuses. It all boils down to a decision. And once you're willing to face yourself in the mirror and make that decision, the rest from there, I would say, I speak for myself, relatively easy.
It's actually not that hard.
It's not that hard.
Women like Vimbai have to walk around in a dangerous environment where animals are trying to kill her, as well as poachers, okay? And that's what she has to do to protect animals, okay? She has to be out there in a very hostile situation. The easiest way to protect animals, don't stick them in your mouth.
Don't eat them. So that's another thing we can all do for the International Anti-Poaching Foundation. Go vegan, because right there, you're saving animals, and you're making a big difference. So shout out everybody, go vegan. And thank you to Vimbai for the work that you do. So the next question is for you. You're in the bush. You are ready for poachers and whatever comes your way. What is your favorite snack when you're out in the bush?
Okay, when I'm out in the bush, my favorite snacks is potato chips and popcorns.
And popcorn?
And that's my favorite.
Had I known, I would have made you popcorn. I make really good popcorn. Are you vegan? It's okay if you're not. I'm not here to pick on you.
I'm really a vegan.
Shout out.
The whole program is
I
vegan.
love you. Is the whole program vegan?
Yes, the whole program.
37 armed women living in the bush in Zimbabwe protecting animals, and the whole program is vegan. We've got 3 vegan chefs there, a senior chef and 2 trainee chefs. I don't want to speak out of turn, but you get fed pretty well. I think they're the best fed ranger team I've ever seen, and they're walking the talk.
So I love this. Can you just see the image? Hopefully by the time this gets edited and goes to WGN Radio, whom I love, shout out to them, we're going to have pictures. Just imagine 37 armed vegan women. I got to say, that's sexy as all get out. So that's pretty awesome.
Too.
Of course they're badass.
They've made 103 arrests now. Since they're going. So all these poachers that are out there killing animals are being taken down and arrested and put in prison by these, sort of angels that just not only protecting animals on the front lines, but in every facet of their life. Yeah.
So if this isn't inspiring for you today on your average Tuesday, I don't know what is. Thank you to the women in Zimbabwe who are defending animals in the bush and on their plate. Badass is right.
Well, Vimbai too, she's like, she was a bit nervous when she was coming over here to America. And I was like, look, people over there know you. She's been on 60 Minutes, BBC, the BBC World Peace. I've seen like 16 million times. She's like, yeah, whatever. We're in America, it's big and scary. And we're at the airport in Harare, in Zimbabwe, about to leave, and this American guy is like, I know you, you're famous. That's a really bad American accent too, by the way. It's like, yeah. And I told you you're famous. People know you over here because of what you do and who you inspire. So well done, Vimbai.
Well done, Vimbai, because of what you do and who you inspire. Thank you for that. Okay, both of you. You're at home, busy day in the bush, as we say. What's the go-to meal you always make? You walk through the door, it's super easy, you know it's going to be good. I'll start with Vimbai. What's the first thing you make if you're super busy and you had a hard day?
Okay, when I'm busy, when I get home, I always prepare pasta and green veggies. That's my favorite.
Yummy.
Yes.
Okay, what kind of green veggies?
Green veggies, spinach especially.
Spinach. Ooh,
Yes,
sounds good.
I like spinach very well.
Gives you muscles.
That's wonderful.
Spinach gives you muscles.
I love it. What about you? You walk through the door? What do you make?
I don't race to cook anything because cooking is actually one thing that relaxes me more than anything. So I'll spend 4 hours cooking something that should actually take about 30 minutes, and I'll be pottering around.
It's meditation.
Yeah, it's just. But I love pasta as well. Like doing like a big spaghetti bolognese, vegan of course. But and then we, at home, my place, we've got all our own gardens and that, so we can actually walk through and pick most of the ingredients ourselves from the gardens.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and just relax and chill. Actually, after the military, I was going to be a chef. And then when I was in Zimbabwe, I had all the enrolment forms to go off and study at Catering College down in Cape Town, a place called Silwood. And I ended up doing this crazy conservation gig, so...
I love it. You can be on the boots in Zimbabwe, or you could be a chef and just look at how fate has turned around for you.
Yeah, no regrets whatsoever.
Pretty awesome. Okay, Do you have any pets, and do you think they're any different than farm animals? I think we probably all know the answer to this, but it's on my list of things I always ask people. Do you have any pets?
I've had pets, and they're much easier to manage than children. I've currently got a 6-year-old
six-year-old
boy and a 7-month-old girl. So
you have a 7-month-old girl.
I do.
Oh, congratulations.
Little Eva.
Oh.
So she's a very cute little raspberry. She's a sweetie.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and you know, so they keep me on my toes. We actually move around a lot. We travel a lot. Our base is in Harare in Zimbabwe. So, wife's from Russia. I'm from Australia. So we're back in each one of those places each year. Also taking them in the bush. If we were to take a pet into the bush, chances are it would probably be eaten by a leopard.
Right.
So no, I don't have a pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people relate to pets and they don't relate to farm animals. And of course, we know that farm animals have language and communication and community and feelings, and they feel stress and pain and fear, and just like your dog would. In fact, in many cases, much smarter than dogs. So
yeah, I mean, the only difference between the capacity of a cow to suffer from a rhino is the difference we allow ourselves to believe.
Right.
And I mean, it's just, I mean, we assign different values and rights to different animals depending on how convenient they are for us. Speciesism. So actually, I did a TEDx talk on it. Quite a few years back, but yeah, it's the same as sexism or racism. How we categorise things. We think that the world revolves around us, but we're one of millions of species. We want millions of sentient beings on Earth that can feel pain and suffer, want to build family structures, want to be safe. We want to live.
Right.
We want to live. That's all an animal wants to do.
That's all they want to do is live.
And we take that away from them.
In a stress-free environment with peace. That's all they want. So this is a good one. What do you wish you knew 10 years ago that you know now?
What do I wish I knew 10 years ago? It's actually quite exciting finding these things out as you go along. I'm very bad at collecting mentors.
Mentors?
Yeah. I don't know why. I just always have been. Just like maybe.
Well, you're such a leader yourself.
Well, no. I've got some great mentors in my life now, but there probably would have been some people that I would have listened to 10 years ago. Some things you have to figure out yourself.
Right.
But then it takes you 10 years to get it right instead of 1 year. But if I could change something from 10 years ago, I would have listened to a few other people.
Worked with a mentor. Do you have anything that you wish you knew 10 years ago that you know now?
Yes, I have something to tell. I can say that 10 years ago, I was someone who never knew the importance of animals. Yes. But now, since I joined the IAPF program, I now know the importance of animals. Because back then, 10 years ago, I only knew that animals will be better when we kill and eat meat. But now I know how important an animal is, because I now know how to protect an animal and the good things of animals. They cannot speak. I can speak for them. That's what I can say for
That's wonderful.
That's what I wish I...
Yeah. You're taking that? Yeah.
What she said.
Okay, guess what she said. Okay. I don't know if you guys have this, but do you have any phrase that you live by? So, for example, I really like to say, nose to the grindstone, eyes to the sky. Is there anything, if you're having a bad day and you just need to sort of get yourself into the right frame of mind, that you tell yourself?
Big sky, little bullet.
Oh, what does this mean?
We used to say that in Iraq.
What does that mean?
We're going out on a bad mission. Big sky, little bullet. So the sky is big, the bullets are small, so the chances of being hit are quite small.
Small. Okay, so I get it. Okay, so you're just psyching yourself up that it's going to go your way.
Yeah, pretty much. But I don't know. What's our mottos?
Am I saying this right? Akashinga?
Akashinga.
Thank you, Akashinga. Is there a motto to Akashinga?
Nature protected by women.
Nature protected, but let's go with that. I like the sound of that. Nature protected by women.
And it is. I mean, women have this natural instinct to protect and to nurture, to de-escalate things. I come from we were in Iraq. Counterinsurgency means countering insurgents looking for fights, trying to settle them. Women are looking for conversations and how to nurture and protect, and that's a very important thing in conservation. Conservation's job is to protect and to nurture, and it just comes naturally. So.
It's wonderful. So From this discussion, it probably seems clear that you have a purpose, but still I want to ask sort of this question in a twofold way. Do you feel that you have a sense of purpose, and what would you like to be known for?
So when this is all said and done and I'm on my rocking chair somewhere with a couple of days to go, I want to know that I've done as much as I can to help preserve the natural world, as much of the natural world as possible, because inside these ecosystems, everything, the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees, I've spent enough of my life doing stuff that I suppose that was counterproductive to the big picture. And what I'm doing is not some form of redemption. It's taking the lessons that I learned, channeling it into a more positive direction. Happy to keep making mistakes, happy to keep learning from them, and building systems like that we have now in Zimbabwe and Kenya, South Africa, Mozambique, that are playing a key role in shifting an industry and protecting as much of that natural world as possible. So.
And do you have any predictions for the future? Because you're working so hard on basically the future.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future?
I'm optimistic, eh?
You are?
I'm optimistic. And I've had my 2 years of fatalist outlook where, it's like, shit, what's going on? It's all bad. But I'm continuously surrounded by good people doing good things. And I think... we're sort of heading towards this critical mass. Yeah, there's still a lot of bad shit going on in the world. There is, we can't take that away. There's a lot of bad people. But, the good thing about doing good is it's infectious. We stay, our gang is getting bigger and bigger. Our V gang as well, the vegans as well. We're taking over the world. But, I'm optimistic about where this is going. We've got a big, long, uphill battle in front of us. But crisis is great. It kicks our ass into gear.
Crisis. Is that what you said? Crisis is great. Crisis motivates us all. Yeah. And I think I have to say shout out to the internet that has done so much to disseminate information that factory farming would have you not know, that even about animal trafficking, that really wasn't information that was out to the general public. And now the general public, that means you and me, we can care about rhinos in Africa. We can go to iapf.org and donate or disseminate the information about April 30th in Chicago or San Francisco or Washington, D.C. or Florida. Let your friends know in the neighboring cities so that they can go and hear and learn for themselves. I mean, there's ways that we can all be involved and active in a way that wasn't possible before. So I think just the internet alone has done so much for social causes. So
I mean, it can be plugged into whatever information you need. And it was definitely played a key role in giving me the information that I needed to change over and go vegan, watching Earthlings.
Yes,
people like Philip Wallen.
Whom I love, Philip Wallen, a fellow Aussie. I've interviewed him.
Yeah,
I love him because he's a numbers guy, and numbers don't lie, and he tells you straight off the bat, like, this is completely illogical and makes no sense to not be vegan because of the numbers killed for the amount of people in the world. Just makes no sense.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's one of the few mentors that I have. Yeah, really good guy.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
We've got questions coming in here.
Yes, can you see that? Hey, Lori. It's so easy when you think of the animals who are suffering needlessly. I think you're talking about, Lori, talking about going vegan. That's awesome. Love Damien and his incredible empowering work. Me too. I feel the same. I'm going to answer everybody's questions when we're off, and I can be typing away madly and furiously. I want to give the last word today to Vimbai. What do you see for the future?
I can say that for the future, I can say the empowerment of women who grow up, because we as women who can change the world. We have the passion, we have the motherly heart, so we can change the world in future.
I'm going to see if I can repeat that. I'll try to get it word for word. Women can change the world because we have the motherly heart, and so we are the future.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
I love her. And when you support iapf.org, you are, of course, supporting women like Vimbai. So not only are you protecting animals, but you are supporting women, because women really are what's going to keep the planet together. I do agree with you. So shout out to Damien, though, whom we love.
Thank you very much.
April 30th in Chicago, some other dates. Just go to iapf.org. Check out all the dates where he's going to be on his U.S. tour. But of course, donate if you can. Who are we kidding? Money helps. Spread the word and share money if you can. And next time I talk to Damien, hopefully it's going to be from Zimbabwe. And I'll be going live, hopefully, from Zimbabwe. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for all you do. And don't forget to be vegan. Bye, folks.